Greetings out there in YouTube land. This is Morris Man, and as always, I thank you guys for coming to my channel. I rarely ever do any more of these videos for many reasons, and I really won't go into that. But I got a call from family members in Chicago because that's where I grew up, and they was telling me about the picketing or the protest that took place on Sunday, and the purpose of the protest was to shut down O'Hare Airport, which is one of the largest airports in the world, for awareness of violence in the streets and other things. And they asked me to speak on this. And like I told you, I rarely ever do these videos, and I most likely probably end up taking this down shortly after I post it because I'm not here to stir up anything, but I'm here to sometimes express an opinion that I think might be helpful because there's some things I just don't understand, and then until somebody explained it to me, I'm kind of a loss for words because, again, the purpose of the protest is to go there, shut down the expressway, shut down O'Hara to make a point. And the point is to bring awareness of violence in mostly predominantly black neighborhoods. But this is my thought on this, and this is just solely Morris Man thought. We know this already. There's not a need to say, hey, no one's noticing this because everybody's noticing this around the world. My thing is, how about some type of solution to this problem as opposed to I'm just going to disrupt a whole bunch of people's day trying to get home, manning their business, got nothing to do with this, and now you're going to throw off their day. I don't think it's fair. I don't think it make any sense. I'm saying, if you take those 100 people that are marching and complaining about violence and send them to the neighborhoods that are gang ridden in violence and let these people know that in those communities that causing this, hey, we're not going to continue to stand for this. Because I'm like, there should be this new movement, and it's called Let's Save Our Neighborhoods One Household at a Time. And what I mean by that is, and I'm just going to say this because it has to be said, the problem is not being addressed. Only the symptom. Just like in the medical industry, just like with diabetes, that metformin that people taking the insulin, only thing it's doing is lowering your blood sugar. It is not addressing the issue that's causing diabetes, which is the issue with the pancreas. But they just want to keep giving you pills and keep having you pay. And then, they're not trying to cure anything. They're just trying to keep a consistent amount of customers coming in buying drugs. But switching back to, the topic at hand, because that's the reason why I mentioned that, because they're very similar. We're not addressing the issue that's causing the violence, because in our neighborhoods, black neighborhoods, they got this pickets and we need more police on the street. That's the last thing that the black community need, okay? To have more police coming around to perhaps shoot you. And that's not a disrespectful mark against the police officers because you guys got a dangerous job. Totally understand that. But as you know in the news, there's some people that's getting shot that shouldn't have been shot, shouldn't have been killed. So that's the last thing that the black community need is more police officers in the community. What we need is to get a handle on our kids, because the issue or the root issue is this, and it's just real simple. We got too many kids having sex in their mama house and having kids, okay? I repeat that. We got too many kids, and I stress the word kids, when their mama and daddy ain't home, most likely mama, having sex and having babies. 17 years later, the majority of those guys, and not all of them, majority of them out there had tilted, pants sagging, gun tilted to the side. I'm like, that's the problem. So how do we fix the problem? Try to work on the problem. And the problem is, again, too many kids having sex and having kids. Because I know things change, because when I was growing up, it was kind of shameful to have any kids outside of a marriage. If you weren't getting married or already married, it was shameful. What used to happen in my generation, and more so in my mother's generation, unfortunately, these two kids get together, have a baby. Oops. Then the mother or the parents take that child, that daughter down south somewhere. She have a baby and she come back and her mother claims that baby, say, that's my baby, and raise that baby as hers because it was shameful. It's like, my daughter's still a child. She's not married, so I can't have this. But we've gotten away from that. Now it's okay for 17-year-old kids to be having sex in their parents' house while they're not around, having babies. And it's like, you're a child yourself, so how can you take care of another child? You know, and then this child grows up and that child is being shortchanged because now this child grows up with a mother that's only 17 years older than them. Daddy ain't around because daddy was just casual sex. You know, there was no love or long-term relationship there. A lot of times these babies are not even born before the daddy gone, or the daddy gone already ready before the baby's gone. Or I'm sorry, before the baby's even been delivered. You know, so that's what the black community got to get a handle on. You know, we got to stop this bitching and complaining to other people about our problems. You know, we complaining to the mayor and the police department or the police chief. It's like, that's not their issue. It's not their problem. You know, we got to get a handle on our problem. And that's our problem. We need to go home and check our kids and whoop our kids' asses. You know, and keep them in line until they're old enough to go out on their own and say, okay, now I can have my babies and get or do what I want to do. It's still you look up and your child having a baby, you know, and of course it wasn't planned. So, I mean, you know, again, that whole shutting down expressways, that does nothing to deal with the issue. All that does is piss off a lot of people, get you some TV or news time, and then that's it. You know, none of those protests result in fixing the problem. And again, the problem is just simple. We got to go home and check our kids, okay? You know, we can't have our kids out here having kids because they're kids and they can't take care of their kids because they ain't taking care of themselves. So guess who's going to take care of them kids? Mama and then the taxpayers. You know, and I can actually talk an entire hour on this to give a breakdown of why it is the way it is. You know, but unfortunately, I just don't have that enough time, and I don't want to make this video too long because I'm looking at the clock up there. But that's my thoughts and opinion on that. That whole protest thing, the only thing it does is get you some TV time. Fine. But what about working on resolving the problems that we have? You know, again, we as black people, we got to pull back together and get our neighborhoods right. It's not up to the police to police your kids. It's not up to the mayor to police your kids or father or parenting your kids. That's your problem. Or should I say that's your responsibility? You know, and I look at all these people that are out here marching. I'm saying to myself, I bet you there's a large percent of these people that are marching today about this. They part of the problem. They got a kid at home about to have a baby, or their kid just had a baby and the kid only 17 years old. You know, so instead of taking your business out to the street and complaining, go home, close your door, and check your kids. Okay? Be the parents that you need to be. Because I thank God that I grew up in the era that I did. Because before I showed up on this planet Earth, my mama and my daddy was in love and they got married. Okay? My mama had a ring on her finger when she had me. She had her husband in the other room watching TV when he's not at work. And still a fast forward 40, 50 years later, this child is at home with their parent, which is 17 years older than them, and they both live in their grandmama house. And that grandmama become the surrogate father. Because I'm going to say this and then I'm going to sign off. I did a speech years ago at this community center. And I did a pretty, I think, informative presentation because I had a chalkboard and I was going to town. And I said, and I told these young people here, I said, you don't know what you don't know? It's a good idea to listen to the people that have been there, done that, because they can let you know what works and what doesn't. And still, I can do this by myself, you know. So I said, if you were to go back in time right now to like 1965 and you stop a black person on the street or a child and you say, draw your family structure, you know, they'd draw mama, they'd draw themselves, they'd draw daddy. Fast forward 2017, you ask a black child in the community, not all of them, but most of them, draw your family structure. Who's at your home right now? They draw themselves, they draw mama, then they draw grandmama. What the hell is daddy? Daddy just got pushed out the picture. Now it's customary now that there's no father in the house. You know, now grandmama had to do double duty because she raised her child. Now she got to double back and raise her child when she's almost 70 years old. You know, that's some bullshit. You know, we got to get our act together. You know, again, we can't be out here complaining with picket signs and complaining that, you know, the city is not doing their job. No, you're not doing your job. Your job's to go home and check your kids and make sure your kids ain't having kids that they can't take care of. You know, That's just really plain and simple. You know, it ain't the police fault. It ain't the mayor's fault. It's our fault. And we got to clean this mess up, okay? Till next time, take care. Thanks for watching.